If West Ham United had a scout at the Euro U21s this summer, and reportedly we did, I would hope we did as well. In fact, I would assume every Premier League club had a scout at that tournament, because why would you not? The opportunity to see some of the best young players of European football playing a vast amount of games in a short period of time. Why would you not take that opportunity? I'd be very concerned if we didn't. In fact, one reason we possibly wouldn't have done is because we don't have enough staff. It might be a staffing issue at West Ham, but I thoroughly expect us to have had at least an eye on that, even if it's just Graham Potter kicking back on his sofa with the telly on, and that's how we were scouting the tournament. But especially in this day and age, when it's all data driven, I'd imagine a lot of the names that featured at the tournament were familiar to Graham Potter and Kyle McCauley. But whether they'd seen them play or not is a completely different matter. They'd seen them on a spreadsheet. Oh, look at this guy's metrics. His passing's fantastic. His tackling's superb. This striker, his goal-scoring ability is wonderful. But you still need to watch them play. The Euro Under-21s presents a fantastic opportunity, especially when Potter has publicly stated we are hoping to bring in younger profile players. So we're looking to bring in players with a high ceiling, lots of potential, but transfer value could grow quite a lot. The Euro Under-21s surely contains the answer. England, the Netherlands, Spain, Germany, Italy, all these young players you would imagine are potentially the next crop of players to go play for their senior national team. Well, they're the players that are going to grow in transfer market value, right? So we assume we had a scout at that tournament. And if we did, it would have been impossible not to notice Rocco Reitz of Germany. I was speaking to Nick yesterday, one of our subscribers, on Hammers Chat, and we agreed between us that we thought Elliot Anderson was player of the tournament, and that our runner-up, just me and him, you don't have to think this, me and Nick thought Rocco Reitz was the second best player at that tournament, and Anderson just picked him. He had a wonderful few weeks out in Slovakia and played fantastically well for Germany, and it's continued from his time with Gladbach in the Bundesliga. Central midfielder, just turned 23 at the very end of the season, but here's the but. Well, there's two. The first one, and I'm going to compare him to Harvey Elliott in terms of a potential transfer deal here. As much as I would love Harvey Elliott, I am willing to hold my hands up and say it's incredibly unlikely for two reasons. A, would he want to come to West Ham? Probably not. His ambitions are probably greater. He's probably looking at Newcastle and Villa, that type of club, thinking that's where I want to go. So that's going to be a problem attracting him to West Ham, but also B, the price tag for Harvey Elliott will be, it was rumoured to be 40 million, but that was before the tournament. I think it's fair to assume that maybe there's been an extra 5-10 million whacked on top of that because of his performances and his goal scoring efforts. So if Harvey Elliott, say 50 million, so it becomes unrealistic or unlikely for two reasons. Now, A can still be applicable to Reitz because he's on the verge of the German senior team. He's been training with them. Now this tournament's come to the end. I fully expect when the next Germany team is announced, which I assume is September, there's usually an international break in September, I expect him to be in there. So in terms of where he is in his career, he's in a really good spot. He's playing week in, week out in the Bundesliga for a big side in Gladbach, playing next to Weigl, who's probably really good for his personal development as well. He's had a couple of years on loan in Belgium before establishing himself in the Gladbach midfield. On the verge of the German national team. He's in a good place. He's one of Germany's better midfielders, especially at that age. I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Leipzig, Dortmund and Munich and Leverkusen are keeping an eye on him as well. I think he's that good. So ambition-wise, it could be a bit of a struggle. However, B, price tag, not an issue for West Ham. Now, I'm parking this whole sell before we buy stuff as well. Because the assumption is, I think it's fair to assume, even if we do go down that road, we're still going to spend money at some point. We're still going to bring in players. And I think there's an expectation maybe amongst you lot, and I include myself in this, that the players we do bring in will be 15, 20 million pound players. We probably won't sign anyone that's greater than 25 million. So we are in this pool of talent that will cost that. Well, Rocco Reitz has a 17 million pound release clause. So I would argue that B, affordability, he's there, he's ticking that box. We can afford him if we really want him. Now, and this is important because obviously cash flow comes into the equation here. it's a minimum fee release clause, not a buyout clause. Two completely different things. Perfect example, Man United signing Cunha this summer. Everyone knew his minimum fee release clause was 62.5 million to get him out of Wolves. Man U didn't have an issue paying that. The issue was how they pay, and that's why negotiations dragged on for a couple of weeks. They got there in the end and fairly quickly too. But Man U don't just drop 62.5 million to Wolves. It's still paid over in instalments. It just comes to 62.5 million. So while Reitz will be 70 million, you don't have to give Gladbach 70 million at once. Now, they can demand that. They can say, well, we're not selling it. You've got to pay it off. Usually it's in the contract as to how a buying club would have to pay it. But it's unlikely. You'd probably get away with, I don't know, 5 million, 5 million, 5 million, 2 million. I don't know exactly. But the point is, we'd probably still be able to pay it up over 3-4 years. So even for cash flow, it wouldn't. The first installment might be 5 million. It won't be that expensive in the grand scheme of things. So I think he's affordable. It's just whether or not he would have that ambition to come to West Ham. Hopefully, Fulkrug could have a bit of a word for us. But right, we're going to discuss the potential of buying him and why I would be excited to see him join. Before we do that, this video is sponsored by Surfshark. Surfshark are a VPN provider which helps you keep your private things private. So when you're on your phone, you don't want anyone snooping. There's not to say that you're doing anything wrong, by the way. It's the equivalent of, I don't know, when you get in the car and you put your seatbelt on, you don't do that because you're away to drive like a crazy madman down the road, do you? You don't put the seatbelt on because of how you're driving. You put the seatbelt on because of how other people drive. You think, I'm going to do my bit right. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm going to put this safety device on just in case. Likewise, when you're in your lounge in the evening, you draw the curtains or you shut the blinds. It's not because you're doing anything wrong. You just don't want people looking in, right? When you've illuminated the living room. Well, it's the same with a VPN. You're not doing anything wrong. You just don't want anyone looking in anyway, right? You just want a bit of privacy. VPN provides that extra bit of privacy, that extra bit of security. Now, we've got a bit of a promo here on Hammers Chat for you with Surfshark. If you go to surfshark.com/HammersChat, links in the description below and pinned comments, you will get 4 months free. Now, the offer is automatically applied to your basket. You don't need any codes. There's no clicking buttons. You go in, it's there, it's loaded up. You then select the length of VPN you would like. Behave yourself. How long would you like the VPN for? A year, 2 years? You click that. The 4 months is already added for you. It's nice and simple to do. As you guys know, one of my favorite things, changing my geolocation. Not my location, my phone's location. So, for example, if you wanted to go, you were in England and you thought, oh, I wonder how Rocco Reitz plays. I want to see more of him. Maybe if I switch my phone to Germany, maybe I could access a bit more on YouTube. You could give it a try with your geolocation. Now, I've got a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. This is important. If you sign up and you don't like it and in 4 weeks' time you think, oh, wish I never bought that, that's okay. You can change your mind. You can get a full refund. Not everything allows you to have regrets. Surfshark VPN keeps you safe, but also allows you to have regrets and change your mind. There you go. Surfshark.com/HammersChat. If you're unsure about VPN, just Google it. Read third-party, independent parties' reviews of VPNs and why you should have a VPN. Go have a look. Do your own research. And if you decide, actually, fancy getting a VPN, consider our offer. Gonzo's used it for years, and I end up getting Surfshark because of Gonzo. Gonzo influenced me. Anyway, I'm going to try and influence you about Rocco Reitz. I'm not really. Make up your own mind. I love him. Really good tournament for Germany, as already noted. What type of player is he? Defensively, I think he's superb. He reads the game really, really well. Quite often, I always like defensive midfielders that do interceptions. Now, he does the tackles as well. Don't get me wrong. He does the tackles. He can be quite aggressive. Doesn't get it wrong very often, though. You can be aggressive but win the ball, and you can be aggressive and be reckless. He's the former. He will do slide tackles. Usually wins the ball, though. His reading of the game, I think, is exceptional. But I always like defensive-minded midfielders. He isn't that, by the way, but just stick with me here. That intercept the passes, that read the game, get in, get the ball. They don't have to make the tackle because they've won it early. They've read the play, they've got in, they've snuffed out the attack, and they're going to spring the counter-attack. And that's what I think he is. Passing-wise, I think he's brilliant. He's a real, I would say, conductor of tempo. Would I go that far? Maybe. I think he's got a good partnership with Weigl in midfield for Gladbach. But his passing from deep in central midfield is really good. Now, if you're looking for goals and assists, I don't think this is your guy. If you're looking for someone that's going to crop up in the 18-yard box and start slamming home chances like prime Frank Lampard, stop and move on to someone else, I don't think this is your guy. He'll chip in with 2 or 3 goals a season. Could do. I think this season he only got 1 goal, but the season before, I think he got 6, and that was his first full season, because prior to that, he was over in Belgium for a couple of years on loan. But he's not your goal-scoring midfielder. I don't think that. He's the guy that can link the play, though. He's the guy that can get the ball moving. And I think that's what we're lacking at West Ham. I know I keep going on about midfield rebuild, but I don't want midfielders for the sake of it, right? I am desperate, actually. I'm not desperate, I am. But I'm desperate to see the right players. That's why Tyler Morton, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on him. I think he's a decent player, but that's it. I want better than that. I want 2 players. We bring in 2 players this summer, different types of midfielders that I look at and go, wow, that's going to transform our team. And I strongly believe if we were to only bring in midfielders this summer, we sold no one and we brought in 2 midfielders, but really good ones, I think we'd be better next season. I don't think we'd go, hey, Europa League, we're going to finish 7th. I don't think that. As we say, we might finish 14th again. How's that an improvement? But I do think we would get better. I think Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen, Fulkrug, I think they would all benefit from having better midfielders in the team. I think that's our biggest weak part. I think someone like Rocco Reitz would be a fantastic addition and give us something that we're lacking, which is having that ball playing ability in midfield. But also he's got the defensive side of the game as well. Now, I want to bring in another midfielder, which is a bit more of a box-to-box midfielder, perhaps someone that can contribute goals further up the pitch. But Reitz would be someone I would get excited for. £17 million, I think that's on the cheaper side of things as well for a player of his ability. Just turned 23. Fantastic player. Get him to the ball. Bad news though. Ex-West Ham employees contacted someone at the club and they've denied it, saying it's rubbish. But the thing is, 2 things. First of all, one, we got told Habib Diarra was one of our top targets and we didn't even flinch by the sound of it. Sunderland fans have been on this channel recently because of the video I did on Saturday about Diarra. And they're basically saying from their side of things, what they're hearing is that no one went for him. They were the only club in the running. Basically, they threw a bit of money at him. Price leads out of it completely. We didn't even do anything. And that's what Sunderland fans are hearing from their side of it. That basically they got Diarra because they waded in there with a massive cheque and no one else came to the table. So we've been told that Diarra is apparently one of our top targets, but we didn't even bid for him by the sounds of it. So forgive me if I take what the club claim with a pinch of salt. And also, I want us to deny speculation for players that we are actually interested in. Let's just say, hypothetically, Reitz was someone that we were looking at and we really wanted. I'll tell you what I don't want to see, and that is Sullivan telling in-the-nose and journalists, oh yeah, he's a top target, we're going after him. No, I don't want that. I actually want us to say, rubbish, and get our business done away from the spotlight, try and get it done on the quiet, and then bam, before you know it, he's in London, he's having his medical, and we've maybe gazumped a couple of teams, because he'd also been linked to Brighton, who else, and Leipzig. But the reports last night was West Ham are in pole position. Not the first time I've heard that phrase, is it, with Onyedika? I think a couple of people have said I don't pronounce it correctly. I don't care. If we sign him, I'll pronounce his name correctly. Until then, I'm calling him Onyedika because that's how it's spelt, and I'm okay with that one. But when it comes to denying speculation, it's a bit like transfer rumours, isn't it? I don't believe all the transfer rumours, so I struggle to believe all denial of transfer rumours. Now, this one's a hard one to work out because I don't know if it's just because I want it to be true, but I think there's a part of me that looks at him and thinks, actually, that's the right type of midfielder for us. I think he would work in the Premier League as well. I think he's suited to the Premier League. What we're looking for in a midfielder, he's got it. 17 million, he's affordable. Potter said he wants to bring in younger players. Well, here we are. I think it just ticks a lot of boxes, really. But I'm probably guilty of just wanting it to happen rather than it being true. But there you go. Anyway, 30th of June, you know what that means? Magic date for a lot of Premier League clubs today. There's a belief from some that tomorrow we'll start to see the transfer window whip into action. Unconvinced myself. I think it will for some clubs, just not us, because it's not our date. Our date was a month ago. We're already in the new PSR period. I discussed it yesterday in full detail. So tomorrow isn't the magic date for West Ham United. It was the 1st of June. So we are already in the new PSR period. Other clubs, however, will transition over to their new one. The one club that does intrigue me, though, and that's Newcastle. Do you really want Mohamed Kudus? Because Chelsea are out the running as far as I'm concerned with Pedro and Gittins. Arsenal, I don't believe were ever in for him. But with this increasing confidence, they're going to get Rodrigo out of Real Madrid. That's them out. Spurs, again, didn't really believe it. Man U, they're still pissing around with Mbeumo. Even if they didn't get Mbeumo and came for Kudus, that's bad news. Man U are taking the piss with that, by the way. Just to go off at a tangent, because Brentford are quite clear. You paid 62.5 million for Cunha. We'll have 62.5 million. That's Brentford's stance. That's how much we want. And Mbeumo said, I don't want to go to Tottenham. I want to go to Man U. I only want to go to Man U. So the player wants to move. Brentford are willing to sell them. Man U came back and went 55 million plus 7.5 million of add-ons. No, it's 62.5 million guaranteed cash. It's been clear from day one. My point is, if Man U were to drop Mbeumo and come in for Kudus, we're going to get bids like that from Man U. Oh, 55 million plus 5. No, it's 65 million. Oh, yeah, what about, I don't know, if Roy Keane comes out of retirement, we'll give you £1 million. No, we want the money. So the only English club that I can see coming for Kudus is Newcastle United. And that's because they've not got Pedro. That's because Nottingham Forest won't sell Elanga. Bournemouth have priced Semenyo up at 70 million, which is just a ridiculous price. So it almost feels like Newcastle are being forced down the Kudus road option, which is, there's your guy. You've got to go get him. There's no one else. Your other 4 or 5 players on your long short list are gone. There's one guy left, and that's Kudus. Maybe tomorrow will be imported in that regards, but we'll have to wait and see. But like I said yesterday, West Ham have got a decision to make, but also Kudus does. Now, he's ruled out Saudi, which, again, understand, respect, like it. But I think Kudus's options may be, at the end of the day, to stay at West Ham United or go to Saudi. Big decisions to be made. Anyway, we'll see if anything happens tomorrow. I just don't think it will from our perspective, but it might do from other clubs coming to get our players. Fingers crossed, because, well, I want to see some players. I want to see Rocco Reitz as well. Right, I'm off skis. Thank you very much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammer's Chat. Catch you in a bit.